Gotta play Tapper.
What'd you say? Glad to see you, man. Well, last time I saw
You ruined. God damn it! You didn't do it at the same time as me. I have to do it again.
Yes, sir. Oh. Yeah, you want to get shit more? I'll put it up at, I'll bring it tomorrow.
It's not me, I did it.
Should we get started?
Yeah.
You guys are all the way back here?
Add a little perspective.
Okay.
Let's make it seem like a larger crowd.
Yeah?
Oh man.
Thanks for everybody coming up, even though it was a thunderstorm and tornado touchdown right in front of Hop Shop. We're now in Kansas, actually. You can relax. It's just raining.
Where's Toto?
Thanks for everybody coming out. We're gonna start, I guess, because it's after 8 o'clock. Might as well get this done. And thank you for coming out for this rainy night. And this month we have Night Shift Brewery Company from Somerville. Massachusetts. Fairly local brewery. And some good shit. They're like, how long have you been in the market? Well, you can tell all that stuff. I don't have to tell all that. You can talk. I don't need to talk. You can tell them all that shit. Right.
We love hearing you talk. Yeah. Thanks, Doug.
Hello everyone, my name is Willie.
Hi,
I'm
Willie.
a rep here in New York for Night Shift Brewing. Just moved down here from Boston in February, so thank you for having me out, even though I am a Red Sox fan. Anyway.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So the
It's
brewery.
not okay.
It's true.
It's not really okay.
Yeah, it's alright.
It's actually
A little bit about the brewery before we get started with the beers. We have been in the market here in New York for 3 years. So we've been with Kevin here, Croy Serene, for those 3 years. We've been in the market for 3 years. I'm pretty fresh in the market. I've only been here since February, but the brewery has been going since around 2010. Depending on who you talk to, that's when the three founders, Rob, Mike, and Mike, were homebrewing in their kitchen in Somerville, Massachusetts. And then in 2012, they put out their first production beer called Trifecta. There are 3 of them, so Trifecta seemed like a pretty good name. And that was a 5-barrel batch of an amber or a pretty standard, not too hoppy ale that they put out into the market.
You finished?
And that was the first commercial beer that Night Shift ever did. Then that same year, later in 2012, the Everett Tap Room opened up for the first time. That is about 2 miles outside of downtown Boston. It's got it had a big 40-barrel setup, so that was a big upgrade from their 5-barrel setup in their kitchen. And from there, they've started expanding and came into the market here in about 3 years ago in 2016. Then a little bit later in 2016, they opened up, in 2017, they opened up Owl's Nest, which is an outdoor beer garden on the Charles River Esplanade in downtown Boston. Then this last year, they opened up a second brewery and pub location called Lovejoy Wharf, which is very close to North Station if you've ever been up into Boston. It's near the North End. It's sort of our version of Little Italy in Boston. We have a place called the North End. It's in that section of town, and it does have a small brewery setup, and also has its own kitchen and tap room as well. So it's making food and beer that is exclusive just to that area. So stuff that that is very weird and very out there, like a Lithuanian farmhouse pale ale. I don't know what that is, but that's the sort of stuff that they're experimenting with at Lovejoy. If they like it, they kick it up to Everett, they brew it there, and then out into the market it goes. I think...
This is within 3 years?
This is since 2012.
Okay.
Yes.
That's quite expansion.
Yeah, it has been a big expansion. It went from 40 barrels in 2012 to 40,000 in 2018.
Wow.
So it's a pretty rapid growth. So fast, in fact, that they had to send production of Night Light, which is the first beer that we're going to have here, which is the light lager, outsource it to a place called Isle Brewers Guild in Providence, Rhode Island, where Pawtucket, Rhode Island, where they also make Narragansett. So that's a lot of tank space that we're devoting to Night Light because we do not have the capacity to do that stuff in Everett, which is pretty crazy. Yeah.
The song, the beer is called Night Light.
Night Light.
Night Light.
Like L-I-T-E.
Gotcha. Night Light, right. I thought you were saying Night Light. It's Thin Lizzy song, but that's cool.
That too, yeah.
Night Light.
Yeah, and
one of the best bands ever. Anyway.
A little bit of backstory about Night Light before we taste it. It is a true light beer, so it actually uses 80% malt and 20% corn. The corn helps with the sweetness, but it does not add to the alcohol content. Since you're taking away some of the grain where you do get that alcohol from, you're getting a lower ABV beer that's lighter. It's a little bit easier to drink. It's more crushable, as we like to say, and it's going to be still sweet without being too dry or adding too much of the rice characteristic, which would add some dryness to it, and it gives you some good, some nice sweetness. Uses Saaz hops, Czech beer. Czech hops, and it came about because being a brewery in Massachusetts, you're competing with a lot of hazy juicy up there in Massachusetts, as you may imagine, as you are here in New York as well. A lot of haze boys, a lot of stuff that's going on that's very heavy, can be very alcoholic, and the founders and the head brewer were thinking, why do we seed all the people in the world who don't drink hazy juicy IPAs to those four major brands, Miller Coors, Anheuser-Busch? Why do we let them have all those people? Why don't we make something for them as well? So along came Night Light, a true light beer, American light beer that could be at a much more approachable price point for people who are buying it in cans, and also for bars who are not super crafty but really want to step their foot into that realm. That's where Night Light came in. It was to provide people an easy gateway to the craft beer world, where all of a sudden you're sucked in and now you're standing in line for the newest hazy juicy IPA.
And you guys always canvas, or is it?
Yes, always cans, yes. First beers came off the canning line in 2012, along with that first batch of Trifecta. Well, canning line meaning hand operated, but yeah.
Cool. She's getting it right now. Should be coming up.
Fantastic. Any questions so far?
You talked a little bit about their create better philosophy and how they
The philosophy of the brewery?
The create better idea. And
Yeah.
They're trying to learn from mistakes. And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're really big
Yeah.
on that, I know.
Yes, they are.
What's wrong?
It's a brewery that has,
Don't
like you
talk on
said,
that.
learned from the mistakes. They're not afraid to take a couple, a risk here or there, like putting out a rye habanero beer in 750s, which was a very weird sort of out on the edge when it first came out. Was that?
Probably good.
It was good, but if you like spicy beers that also have like a little bit of an edge to them, yeah, that was great. But for the craft beer market in 2014 in Massachusetts, that was a little bit out there. So maybe dial that back and go back to something that's a little bit more approachable, a little bit more broad spectrum, as you might say. So yeah, create better. You're creating a better product by not being afraid to take risks, but also giving people what they want and doing it damn well.
Do you think that stems from like a homebrew kind of vibe?
Absolutely. Yeah, you dump your vibe. Yeah, you dump it on the floor. Yeah, if it comes out bad, you get rid of it. You don't drink it. You brew something again. You do it better the next time.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of bold to do something like have that attitude and put it out in the market and pull it back. Do a run of 750s of a crazy spicy beer, and then say, well, that didn't sell very well. Let's stick that one back in the back room and go back to something that we can do that has a little bit more wide appeal. So this is Night Light coming out to you now. It is crystal clear, as you'll notice.
It's got a little bit of grassy notes on the nose, but it also is like has a little bit of that corn sweetness as well. So that's going to be the predominant sort of sensory, and it's going to have a little bit of the corn sweetness on the flavor, not over. It's going to be very light on the hoppy bitterness, and it's going to be, like I said, a little bit sweeter than pretty much any other craft beer that you would come across.
You guys filter this?
Yes. Spin it and filter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Centrifuge.
Centrifuge.
Ooh.
Wonderful technology.
Way too expensive. It is good beach beer. It's good like 100-degree weather.
100-degree weather, lawnmower. Yeah. The tasting notes of this one are like pair it with a movie or a backyard barbecue rather than a food item, because it can go with literally anything.
Yeah. It's really soft.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very approachable beer. Like I said before, it's sort of for folks who, like me, are like a lot of you folks who are in the industry and are tired of the palate tearing off.
Yeah, this would be the go-to at the end of the day.
Exactly. One of the ones that overpowers you with citrus, overpowers you with the dryness, overpowers with the dry hops, like chalkiness almost. It's been a little bit of change up from that.
It's like light but not sugar.
This would be a,
That would be a great tagline. I would put that on the can if I were.
It's like
light but not shitty.
All right.
And the logoing sort of happened by accident, where it was like the Nightlight name came along. They're like, oh, let's just play around with the imaging.
There's
If you've ever seen it,
on
not that I know of. It's
close to both.
It's pretty close. You will see across the can the image of a light bright in the shape of an owl with a rainbow color scheme going across it.
See
So
that?
very nicely timed.
I used to have a light bright.
I love that stuff.
Did that exist when you
I
were?
used to have one.
Okay.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
That's it.
There you go. Just checking.
Well, you fine.
Oh, they were. That was a reissue.
Nostalgia is a very powerful tool.
I had an older sibling, so I got everything that she had.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a while, they bought every year. They bought a version of the Light Bright that came out every year, and they went on eBay and spent way too much money buying every single year of Light Bright, and the stack stood about that high off the floor.
my God.
And they were like, yeah, just give them away to accounts. They were gone that day.
Oh,
So
good.
everybody wanted the Light Brights. And I've come across some places here in New York with Kevin that actually have gone out and bought Light Brights to put the owl shape in. Because it's good nostalgia and it's sort of a cool
I remember
nod to
because Light Bright's changed a lot. I remember when Light Bright, in order to get the pegs to stay in place, you had to put a piece of paper. You had to you had to clip down that piece of paper, and then you were like punch them in. And the worst part was when, stepping on a Lego is bad, but you step on one of those upturned Light Bright lights. Oh my God, that would put a hole in your foot.
I never stepped on the Light Bright pegs, but I did step on a battleship from Battleship.
Oh God.
So would this be like a flagship for you guys?
That's next. That's Whirlpool. That would be our flagship. This is not even a year old. And we're just coming back to the year anniversary of it being
that I
here.
know about you guys.
Yeah. So it's
boy.
been a runaway success. Totally unexpected. So it's we're just coming up to it being in the New York market for a year.
Oh my God.
Just right about now. Yeah.
Oh, that's such
What?
I thought there was more. I mean, there's still more coming, but that really big match.
It's been out in Massachusetts for a year. It's on month 7 or 8 here in New York.
As long as it's just rain and it's not hail, we're good.
No, you would have seen it.
Like I said, there was a couple pop marks on my head.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why I put stuff over my hood.
I couldn't find the stuff to put it over my hood. I just put it over my windshield. I'd rather have a windshield.
They don't have a jam.
I'd rather not have to replace my windshield than.
I don't don't think so. It's a lager. It doesn't have a lot of hops in it.
Seems like
Matt,
something like
Yeah.
that.
you put your thing on, but I couldn't find your glass door.
There's also on Monday or Sunday. It was in the New York Times this week.
Yes, the low-calorie fat has made it all the way to the paper of record, the New York Times. Yeah, so Rob Burns, the founder, one of the heads of the trifecta, was interviewed in the New York Times on sometime in the past couple weeks, and an article came out about the rise of low-calorie beer and the lower alcohol beer, and sort of what we were talking about a second ago. People in the industry, people who are drinking a lot of the haze boys, a lot of those hazy, juicy beers, are burnt out on those beers.
Oh, thank you.
So this fills a need that
very much.
nobody knew was there. It takes a little place to hide it.
What's this one?
This is Whirlpool.
Ah,
Yes, this is the
the
flagship.
PLL, APA.
Everybody got,
So this is an American Pale Ale, a true American Pale Ale, but it takes a little bit of inspiration from the New England style. So it's going to be, if you hold it up to the light, it's going to be pretty hazy. It's going to have a good citrus note on the nose. It's not going to have any yeasty characteristics using the neutral yeast. 4.5% ABV, but this one actually has more hops than Santilli or 87 in it. So this is a later addition of hops, giving it the cloudiness, giving it the good nose when you take a big whiff of it, and not a lot of that bitterness. It's also brewed with oats, which, as we know, gives it a soft mouthfeel. So go ahead and take a sip, and you'll get a little bit of that going in.
Ooh, hazy and hearty. Nice.
You'll see very, very light color, almost the color of Nightlight, but with a little bit of that cloudiness, because it is not, it is like water.
This is what I just had.
Nice.
You get a little bit of that sort of late hop addition sort of chalkiness on your palate, rather than having the Nightlight sort of smooth right off your palate. You get a little bit of that lingering.
I said it was a good beer. I thought it was a good beer. I just didn't really feel like it was an American.
And this is our flagship beer. This one started brewing by our first head brewer, other than the three, the trifecta. His name's Joe Mashburn. Interesting story about this is, like we talked about, Night Shift has expanded like crazy, has actually outsourced some of their brewing, or contract brewing some of their brewing outside of the walls of the original brewery in Everett. But according to Joe Mashburn's wishes, this beer will never, ever be brewed outside of Everett Brewery. Yeah, this is the one that will stay in-house longer than any other. And so this was first canned in 2014, and this has been our flagship ever since. It's the brew of choice for probably 80 to 90% of Night Shift employees. 4.5%, very light, very hazy, juicy.
Super easy to drink.
Yep.
Flavorful.
Absolutely.
Nice
Yep. And it's not going to knock you out if you have more than 2 cans.
Yeah.
And it's one of the ones that that Night Shift takes a ton of pride in. Yeah.
Like I said, like really hazy and hearty. Like got a good diet.
Yep. Yeah. And what's interesting about the next one is that, or in the 87, when we get to it, it's going to be very grapefruit pithy. You'll see what I mean when we get there. But this one is very soft. It's almost like a little orange rind, like just a very light citrusy note.
I think it tastes more like a summer ale than like an American.
Like a summer ale, more than an IPA.
APA.
Than an APA. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah.
So it's delicious. Super
Yeah.
easy to drink.
Whatever it is, it's good.
Yeah.
The name.
As a former Sam Adams employee, when you say summer ale, I think of like squeezed lemon rind and like grains of paradise in a beer.
Our summer ale tastes kind of
Grains of Paradise.
Grains of paradise, that's right. Yeah.
That's an interesting name.
It's basically a peppercorn, and it's not nearly as exotic as it sounds.
Do you guys do like a born on date on your cans?
Oh yeah, we do canned on date. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And what would you like? What's your recommendation?
I mean, with a hoppy beer, sooner is better.
With this, yeah.
If you're buying it cold, you got 3 months. That's what I would say. If it's kept cold the entire time, I'd say 3 months. Maybe you could push it out to 3.5, 4 months. But that's what we recommend.
Do you pull anything from market?
Sorry.
Do you pull stuff from market if it's cold?
If it's
Yeah, I'm gonna say
well
that.
outside of that range, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
That's just my personal preference.
I just had a year old. I don't really have any guidance or anything about that, but my personal preference is I roll.
It's been raining so hard they had the leak. They had the leak we saw earlier.
I know, but how come you might get it in here?
What?
Is that cool?
You stole the whole time. That's okay. So maybe it was like, yo, don't drink that.
We had Beverage Island, Beverage Island. They had our lager cans that we didn't lager for a year and a half. And a case stack of it.
Oh, Beverage Island.
Yeah.
And we're like, more of like a year and a half. We had a can.
Yeah.
So it was like at least a year and a half old.
Right, that's my concern.
Yeah.
Is that I may be buying your beer that is not in its prime, and I won't,
It all depends on the style. If it's a dark beer, if it's not hoppy, let it ride.
But well, I'll look for the label. That's my point.
Yeah. But I mean, when you date it, you're only dating it based on the style. You're basing on when you're putting it in the can, not on the style of the beer.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Born on. That's good. I mean, give it 6 months a year, depending on the style.
Yes, that's about as much as I give it.
We just bought a bunch of New Belgians we're upstate on the weekend. And it was like, it tastes weird. It was like peanut on like August, September.
They're not. But last, all right. Thank you.
So the amount of time that you, like between bottling and between actually opening the bottle, that depends on the type of beer that you brew?
Well, it depends on how good it is when you open it. So if you can it on, what are we, 5/31?
Yeah.
If you open it on 10/31 and it's a hoppy beer, it may have fallen off a little bit. What happens is the hops oxidize, they settle, the beer separates. The things can happen, especially if it's an unfiltered beer. Things that you, as a brewery rep, I don't want you drinking that beer because it doesn't display the best of the brewery, and the hops can taste a little off, you
It still
know.
might taste fine, but it's not going to be the best one.
Exactly, it's not what the brewer's intended it to be. So a hoppy beer, it's generally, the rule of thumb is 90 days. You want that out of the store and into someone's fridge where they're going to drink it within 2-3 weeks, kind of thing. That's generally the rule of thumb, but again, for every place it varies wildly.
Right.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
date it was brewed.
Exactly. Yeah. The date that's on there.
On there, ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. We could get into a whole sidetrack about if there's born on dates and then Best Buy dates. Like, as a salesman, I hate Best Buy dates. But let's move on to the next beer. Before we get too deep down that rabbit hole, let's move on to the next beer. Yes. So this is our rotating single hop series. We call it One Hop Citra. I'll give you one guess what hop we're using in this beer. Anyone want to guess?
Good hops.
Good hops. Very good. More specifically, which one? Citra, very good. All right. Yes, this is Citra hops. They're juicy. They are the ones that make the Haze Boys the Haze Boys. They're over the top with a citrus flavor. This beer is going to be using a very, very light malt, so it's not going to contribute a lot of malty flavors to the brew. It's going to let the hop do the talking. So it's going to be juicy. It's going to be like orange. It's going to be not so much as like a grapefruit, but sort of in that same citrusy realm. And this one's going to be light. It's only 6%, so not overly boozy, and it's not going to be not a lot of yeast flavors either. We're using a very neutral yeast, so it's giving you a nice clean finish with a good citrus profile from the Citra hops. It's a very simple beer, just very enjoyable, something that you can drink over and over again, something that you want to fresh. That's definitely one that sort of shows off the hop rather than necessarily the brew technique or anything like that. It's showcasing the hop, and it's almost like you're reining in your brewing, your need to brew like a flavorful beer in order to let the hop do the talking.
So it seems like a lot of the beers we've had already, like a very sessionable, easy drinking beers.
Yes,
That's sort of
that was
like
by design.
Yeah.
I'm of the mind that a lower ABV beer is just as enjoyable as a high ABV beer.
You can enjoy it longer.
Exactly. Exactly. And we happen to have a couple really good tasting low ABV beers in right now, so that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So something that's enjoyable, like a 6% IPA with just a single hop. Why not showcase that over, the whatever
People
the
that
next
love
big
beer
beer
want to
is.
drink it.
What's that?
People that love beer want to drink it.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
You want to enjoy it? Yeah.
You're right.
Drink, you don't want to drink a couple and be done for the day. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially someone like me.
90 pounds, fucking
Well, I mean, when it comes to like alcohol with a high alcohol beer with high alcohol content, I find it's either really smooth and it's nice, goes down really nice, or it's like a slap to the face every time you sip it.
Hot.
It shouldn't be like, no beer should ever be like that.
Well, I mean, like there's ones where like you can really taste the alcohol in it.
What?
Well, I mean, like it's not. I wouldn't say you can taste the alcohol like they're just kind of bitter.
Yeah, no,
Stronger. Like the flavor's just really intense, and then there's other ones where it's like really smooth and mellow. And you knock too many of those back, you're just gonna have a very bad time.
Yeah, you're 100% right. There are a lot of beers, like beers up above 10 and 11%. Those are meant to be hot. Those are meant to have a little bit of alcohol burn to them. It contributes to the flavor. It lets you know what you're drinking. It's something that you look for in that style. I'm drinking an imperial stout. You expect it to have a little bit of that alcohol burn to it.
I had a 16% alcohol beer. It was really smooth. It had like this really smooth caramel taste to it. By the time I had finished it, I was already really buzzed.
Yeah.
And I really didn't feel the alcohol. It really snuck up on me.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
I got a question about can design.
Okay.
It seems like a lot of your cans are very similar.
The spirally owl in the middle.
Right, and it's just like color that differentiates them. Is that true?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely branding. You want people to know what they're looking at when they see it on the shelves, and if they gravitate to the logo, you're like, oh.
I do, and then I sort of look at it and I'm like, oh well. I mean, like, what's the difference? I mean.
Well, the three core beers, Whirlpool that we tried, Santilli and 87, are very similar. There's yellow for Whirlpool, then Santilli is sort of a bright, vivid, sort of Celtic green, and then 87 has more of a gold hue to it. But they all are very similar looking. That's by design. That's you want to gravitate to that section. If you like Night Shift, you go there. But if you look at the one hop cans, they look totally different. They have a very sort of like I just want to call it like a pointillism almost design to it. Very like dots fading into one another, and it says one hop this time in big letters, and the owl is obscured off to the side. Same with our sour series. The owl is nowhere to be found. It just says what the beer is right down the middle with the two fruits above it. So you have to try a little bit harder with those when you're like, oh, this is a really cool can design. I wonder who brews it. Oh, it's Night Shift. I know it's going to be good. So the core brands are definitely by design. You gravitate to that section on the shelf. You look at the tap list. You're like, oh, I see that spirally design. I want that. But when you go out and you look at the cans on the shelves in the store, they vary wildly. I mean, there's some one hop mosaic cans that we just had in are bright blue and orange.
Oh well.
And the owl is nowhere to be found.
What?
You have to know what you're looking at.
I should have cleared out the memory space on this. I just ran out of space.
Yeah, and I'm colorblind, I gotta say so. So like, a lot of three look the same to me. Like, I was like, I got just like picking.
Leave it.
Oh, thanks.
Well, it's worthless.
Aww.
Does anybody remember,
Leo, leave it.
Remember when I got that?
Still purple. Give it a couple minutes.
Try the beer. It's gonna be the best in a nice little bottle. And my friend and I tried it, and we were like, ooh,
Soy sauce.
oh,
Yeah.
no
good.
I shelved one of those
Has
for
anyone-
15 years. It wasn't any better.
Has anyone ever tried their like super limited edition? Yeah, I really want to try one. I don't even know where to get it.
They're like $300.
Yeah.
Well, there's a place on there's a place called Carmine Street Beers that'll sell you a shot for $20, and that's all you need.
What?
Is it bad?
No, it's good. Just once you've had it, you're like, done with this.
I just,
Yeah.
I mean, the
It's
only thing
24%, 26% alcohol. It's very high.
the only thing I'd be worried about is like I buy that sucker, it's $300, and then
Don't bother.
And then what am I supposed to do with it?
It's just like a cognac. You open it and you drink what you need, you put it back. Yeah, exactly.
The thing in America, we're gonna drink right now, and you tell us about it.
All right.
This is the cherry you mean?
This is, yes, exactly. This is the 76. No,
This is made with two kinds of yeast.
So, in fact, this is the 87. This is our double IPA. This is jumping all the way up to 8% ABV. So, if you still have a little bit of the one hop Simcoe, Citra rather, or if you just had some, that did not have a boozy profile to it. But this jumping up to 8% definitely does have that boozy profile. It also has a, not harsh, but it has a very assertive bitterness, like a good IPA should, in my opinion. It has the bitterness that a lot of IPAs these days are very much lacking.
This tastes like
Exactly.
like a double IPA that's like
Yes, yes.
I wish Flagship used to make this really fantastic IPA.
my Sicily.
I want to see it again.
Yeah, it's very good.
It was so good, I miss it.
Listen, you got Swamp Things back.
Swamp Thing is blood orange.
It's very little on the nose on this one.
Hey, don't insult Swamp Thing.
There's very little on the nose on this one, I feel.
Yeah, you do get a little bit more of the,
there's very little.
it's piney rather than like overly citrusy. This is like you were saying, is what an IPA used to taste like. This is piney. I can actually very smartly wrote down the hop profile on this one, so I wouldn't forget and give you the wrong information.
I feel like there is Citra in there, but like
You're probably right.
It's
Let's find
interesting you
out.
said pine.
Columbus, Chinook, Ella, Equinox, and Citra. Very good.
Equinox is always a good thing.
Yeah.
It's funny you say pine. Flagship has this stranger pine here.
Like a citrusy, but like
Yeah, so the tasting notes on this one, which I actually do get, are candied peaches, like peach rings. It's definitely getting some of that along with that grapefruit hit that was missing from a lot of the ones that we had before. Even though they were hoppy beers and they were a little bit on the bitter side, this got that punch that a West Coast IPA or double IPA of 10 years ago with that.
I feel like Citra is really good for either a bitter IPA or a juicy IPA.
Yeah, and if you smell it, you don't get a lot of the Citra on your nose. You do get a lot of the Chinook, like piney aspect to it, but you definitely get that fruity, citrusy flavor. So that leads me to believe that the fruity hops were added in the beginning, and then the piney hops are added later. So those are the aroma that come through when you're putting it up to your nose, getting good whiff.
Well, there's more in the thing as far as that.
Yes, that's right.
That's what I think.
You trick people very much with this putting
Here,
on
take mine. Ask him if it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lay hop like a Whirlpool, for example. Over the top, hoppy aroma, but very soft on your palate because it's all late hop additions.
For yourself.
Complain that it's
Oh, no, I thought it was
actually not.
Whoa,
Sorry, they're trying to bring their phone further.
I noticed that.
I like the aromatic of that.
Where's your cup?
There.
Right. Well, you can definitely tell this is 8%. This is a true 8% IPA.
It really
Stop
does
banging
taste
on my
like
phone.
an IPA is used to taste like before
Yeah.
all this
I
bullshit.
remember everything through beverage when I was working there. Sampled all these beers. That's the beer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it continues to be. It's the one that since I've been here in New York has definitely stuck from the core beers. Whirlpool's great. Whirlpool has its fanboys for sure, but 87 is the one that people loop back to. Again
And these are all cans?
Yeah, can strap both. Yeah.
Pretty sure they're all beverage.
Stop, it doesn't
Yes,
have
that is
any
true.
battery life. Stop.
Yeah, that's a problem, man.
You will have fresh cans on tap.
Thank you.
I will make sure.
Fresh 10. This is a 36 double D.
What?
Why does it smell
They're actually only 16 ounce, but yeah, we got those.
Yeah. Anything else as we move along?
Everything that's being sampled, you guys challenge fresh cans on Saturday. There's cans there right now that are
And it's also available on draft here.
Thank you, Ken.
also available on draft here. Also,
That's it.
yes. Whirlpool is also available on draft over at Richmond Republic. And everybody's cans that we're trying right now are available here. They're also available at Home Beverage and Beverage Islands.
Cool.
Also, Miller's Ale House has 2 other.
Yes.
We don't need to talk about that.
No, tell people where to go.
Miller's Ale House right now has Everwise that we're going to try next on draft, as well as Awake, which is the coffee porter. And then after Awake is done, which probably will be this week, we'll have a specialty beer called Gregorator, which is a little bit of like a hazy,
True Haze Boy. Yeah.
Listen, that's a good point. Like, if you guys go to like places like Miller's Ale House across the island, ask for the beers. Ask for them. Ask for the beers at the place.
Yeah, I mean, they're selling great beer.
That's what I was saying
They have a bunch of beers. They will have beers that are mandated by they're sitting in the best way power. They're like leaves. The beer by there is really
Golden.
I've never had a beer that I was like, there's something. Look at it.
Oh,
Maybe.
He has to see it, so I'll give you the other one.
it's
Now
alright.
spin.
All right, does everybody have some Everwise?
Thank you.
Cool. Hold it up to the light. Look at the color on that one.
That is
Not
perfect.
star, not gold. It's got a nice
thing
little
right
rose
here.
hue to it.
The
Which
thing
one
looks
is
good.
it?
Sure
Cut this
does.
guy off.
A little bit of rose hue, right? That's because we are adding in hibiscus to the sour that is also using strawberry kiwi. So hibiscus not only will add a little bit of the earthy flavor, but it does add that nice little rose tint to it. So it just a nice little addition to the beer after you add the strawberry kiwi as well.
Thank you.
What's the name of it?
This is called Everweiss.
The kiwi is definitely
Everwise?
standing up.
Yep.
The hibiscus definitely colored it.
Yes.
Because we
100%.
just did a hibiscus and pilsner.
Yeah.
And like I can taste the hibiscus. I don't like the kiwi.
No, because it's
Yep.
not.
Yeah. No, those two definitely do.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
Killed it.
I mean, it's definitely a classic combination, the strawberry kiwi.
A lot of kiwi.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is really good.
Yeah. And interesting thing about this one is that we call it a sour beer, but it's not overly sour. It's a very approachable, sort of almost like a refreshing tartness.
It's like a Goza. This guy knows Gozas.
I love Goza.
There you go.
There you go.
This guy looks, I love Ghosts.
Loves it. He's so pumped up for Gozas.
We're gonna make one just for him.
But it has like it tastes like a Goza. You're the temper.
It has a little bit of that chewy taste.
I have 2 Gozas.
But other than that, it's not overly sour. Refreshing, tart, part of a rotating series. Starts with one that's called Mainer Weiss, which is made with blueberries and cinnamon.
Ooh.
So a crazy combination for a Berliner Weiss. Then we go to Briar Weiss, which is blackberries and lemon peel. Then we go to this one called Everweiss. And then our summer series is called Ricky Weiss, which is...
It's really
Ricky.
He's like, why is he
They were like, I love raspberry lime Rickies. Yeah.
That's what I'm used to.
Head down.
Yeah. So the summer one is raspberry and lime. Hence making the raspberry lime Ricky. But this current one is Everweiss, and this is by far my favorite.
I gotta make a
Are these available to buy?
Yes. Wait.
To buy tonight or just to taste right now?
You can buy them.
Yeah. Kevin brought
I mean,
me these.
you pay full price, but like, we have plenty of cans, I put some on ice and
Mhm.
some of them.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. In-house, ready to go. Yeah, it's a great finish. I'm coming down off of the 8% double IPA.
There you go.
You need something that do like a little palate cleanse. I think this is a really great one to do the palate cleanse. Yeah, so we were talking about brandy a second ago. If you saw this just on the can, you'd never know what brewery was doing this. And you turn the can,
Right.
the owl is
Exactly.
I like that, yeah.
It's like a
Just a little bit of
Rorschach
change up.
test. I like that Check test.
So all that shit that Mike was talking, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You changed the can man, right? Relax.
We did it for you.
Stop asking about it.
That means so crazy. Change it the fuck up.
They just did this for you.
So this is done as a mixed fermentation. Is it done in the regular brewery or is it a separate brewery?
Yes, no, it is done in the regular brewery. It's using acidulated malt, it's sort of it's called a clean sour. It's not using any wild yeast or anything like that. It's going to infect anything else in the brewery. So it's all done. It's a kettle sour beer. It's clean, and it comes out tasting a little bit higher acid.
Well, it's mixed fermentation. It usually means there's two different yeasts.
Yeah, but it's not using anything wild.
There's no sour yeast.
No, they might sour mash, but they're not sour. They're not using any like bread or anything like that. Yeah, we don't do a lot of bread beers.
Not worth it.
Yeah. We just put one out in Boston. That was a collab with Monday Night from Atlanta called Breader Together. That is over the top Brett IPA in 750s. It's a wild combo. Yeah.
Before you should have a acai super sour. That's what we did. Like that's with like scary yeast. That was not fun to make.
What?
Scary yeast.
Scary is like
Yeast that could be like different yeast.
vegan yeast or
It's not kettle sour.
Yeah.
A sour tank.
Well, it depends how many tons you got.
With being yelled at every time I did anything. But it's good. You should try it.
10.
all right. Well, it is absolutely.
I got yelled at a lot.
10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10
Because
plus 10
It's a different
plus 10
process.
plus 10
It's a
plus 10
different
plus 10
Oh, yeah. There's a difference in like.
Well, what happens if you have
Next time we'll
I don't know that.
Pause.
100% will count sour.
What?
Yeah.
What?
This is excellent.
We have a palette of
What?
What I like about all of yours tonight is they're not like they're very like they're beers that
Matt,
beers that
you
taste like
might be
beer.
really mad right
They're not
now.
like
Somebody just made your bread.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fucking, like,
snap.
what's
So
up,
what,
you know,
this
beers
was
that
on
taste
Argonaut?
Right.
We'll definitely go ahead and throw some lactose in an IPA with some strawberry
He's
puree or
safer for a
something
long
like that.
time.
all these beers
Just
are
for, you know,
Yeah.
for the walls.
That-
Yeah, exactly.
Should
Should I just kick their ass for
give
good
someone
answer?
who would
Yeah.
like the night shift?
All right, hold on.
Night shift?
Hold
Night
on.
shift.
Night shift? You can give the night shift and be like, and they would also like the other beers too.
Yeah, no, that was sort of the thought behind the programming tonight was sort of lead up to something that's a little bit more adventurous, like a strawberry kiwi sour and a double IPA, like a true punch you in the mouth double IPA. As you start with the light beer, which is, well, you know, some of you have eaten, some of you have come here from other places, maybe had a beer beforehand. That cleanses the palate, that gets you ready for the flavors that are coming, and then you start with a very simple one hop Citra. You go to the double IPA and you go right back to the sour beer, something that's a little more complex.
that's
So it's
just
a whole
Wait, they didn't say
tasting
go
menu
yet.
going up the scale and then back down.
I noticed some of your beers are made in double dry hops.
Whirlpool is definitely dry hops, but it's dry hops.
Double dry hops?
It is not double dry hops.
Wait,
It is not double dry hops. Just the one time. Just the one time.
That's all you need.
What's the IBU on the 87?
It was like 150, 160 or something like that.
Wait, it ain't even started yet.
Yeah, I know.
I was asked what
All
our
right,
idea was in
go,
our
go.
IPA, and I told him the guy rolled his eyes disgustedly and walked
Walk away.
Nice.
At a beer festival.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was
Was
awesome.
it not enough? Too many?
I don't know. I'm certain that wasn't
I
enough.
think he said like 50 to 60 and he was like,
Oh no.
It's not going to tear my taste buds
he was
off.
either too little or too much.
Yeah.
And then he walked away.
Hey, I'm kicking his ass for you.
Hey.
Ooh,
Any other
I got
questions
right
about
to
Night
it.
Shift or the beers?
Yes. What's
What?
the distributor?
Oh,
It's,
will you kick me out?
I said it like 1,000 times tonight.
You can take it, I'm not taking it. I can't do it, because you did it.
I didn't hear it all.
You jumped on it.
Serene. Serene Craft.
What's Serene?
I can't do it.
They're based in the
Whatever
Bronx.
you did,
Okay,
you
Serene
jumped
doesn't
me
want
out.
it. I have to report back to work tomorrow, so I'll ask everybody.
You know,
You have to do it
Take my card.
because you did it.
Okay.
Matt, you
If
have
you
to.
know Claire, then you mean that you already been there.
they have
Yeah.
These are small guys.
Sorry. I know everyone Staten Island's really upset with rock and roll aesthetics. We don't believe in Bible Belt shit in the rock and roll world, so yes, I'll figure it out. Take your church shit up your ass, fucking.
Relax.
Now let's see what he.
God bless Richmond.
All right, that's it.
No, don't.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Oh.
In America, we can figure it out.
Beers into Fenway? I don't think so. That's sort of Sam Adams' turf.
Yeah.
That's sort of tough to step on toes when it comes to Fenway Park.
Yeah.
But we definitely do have the surrounding bars on lock because they've lost a lot of their.
Well, there's that one craft brew place that's right next, that's like right around the corner from the Children's Museum and the.
Hot City or something like that.
Trillium.
Don't be here.
I know what you're talking about.
Trillium.
It's right by the
Really?
Boston Massacre boat.
Trillium.
No, it's
Trillium.
well, there's also like it used to be a homebrew place. No.
Really?
It used to be. It's called Hop something.
Possibly like.
Yeah, it's like Hop
But the
something.
weird part is that we bought beer from them to bring back because they were doing a thing at Flagship. Like, they had like a bring beers in and everybody would try them.
Yep.
And then we got them back and it was
We
like
had one that
the
night,
worst.
and it tasted bad.
The worst.
And we got it back to New York. It was dead. It was just nasty.
Yeah.
But the crazy part was we had bought from Sloop Brewery in upstate New York by my grandmother's house. We got their IPA, their IPA called the Juice Bomb, and it was canned in front of us, and we took it home, and we forgot about it for
I'm not trying to be rude.
No, it was
that you were talking about.
It was one of those like 30.
Upstairs. Thank you, Kevin. Upstairs.
Yeah.
Upstairs. Yeah.
Pasta, yeah.
Yeah.
And we took this thing home, we forgot about it. We opened that thing up, it was like November, and we had gotten it in August. Still good.
There you go. It all depends on the brand.
I had a bad
I
one.
think you got good enough for you. Yeah. That's great.
What is?
I was going to.
You good?
All right, give him another round. Another great brand from Serene. Kevin, you've been killing it. Thanks so much for bringing it. And being a kick-ass. You know, everybody should understand like what the distributors do for brands like Night Shift and what they can do, what they do for breweries and what they don't do for breweries. What they could do for breweries. But it's the little distributors like Serene and that are just like really bringing like these small guys into markets and making them like available for all of us to drink and available for us to buy, and it's fucking awesome. And we should always ask for it and ask who distributes who, and like because it means it makes a difference. Because in this day and age, there's so many breweries that are out there. And if you're not self-distributing, which is awesome, which a lot of people do, which a lot of people don't do, you have these big guys that are distributing people's stuff, and they're not always the best. I don't want to shit on our distributor Flagship, but Union is not our best. They don't have our best interest in heart because they have a million awesome brands that we kind of get lost in the shuffle, where a distributor like Serene will have, they choose a few brands that they just really focus on and like really get behind, and like our craft, it's a craft distributor, right? So it's fucking awesome, and
Do it for the craft beer.
I don't think a lot of people know that aspect of the back end of beer, and they should know that aspect because there's a lot of people getting that shit to market, and there's a lot of people not getting your shit to market. And as someone who works for someone who distributors fights us every day, and it's awesome to see guys like Kevin and are doing the good fight to get all the good beers to us.
Yeah.
So I want to give them big. It means everything. It means everything, especially for smaller breweries who are like struggling to get your beers in the
He
market.
also knows a lot about everything he sells.
He also does. He knows a lot about everything he sells, and he stands behind it.
Like, he cares about everything he sells.
All right, enough blowing his fucking head up. All right, relax. Because I love this dude. He's proven he's got my much respect. But Night Shift, thank you so much. Thank you for coming out on a shitty night and talking about your awesome beers. Also thank you for making beers that aren't fucking trendy, milkshake, cunty, fucking like overpriced shit. I appreciate that, and I know a lot of people in this room and outside this room appreciate that. So thanks everybody for coming and supporting the beer club, and yeah. But,
Drink some Night Shift.
Drink some Night Shift.